Destination reached. Scylla.
Hey, you got a minute? Hey boss, got a hypothetical for you? You got a friend, see? Somebody you knew when you were growing up. You were close. Then one day, they up and vanished. 5 years go by, they send you a message out of the aether. What's going through your head? You got the wrong idea, boss. It ain't like that. Guy by the name of Clyde Harlow. He was an old friend of mine. Honestly, he was probably my first and longest friend. I just heard from him. Says he wants to talk to me. Says it's urgent. The guy just vanished without a trace one day. No goodbyes, no explanations. Been gnawing at me ever since, you know? That's what I don't know. The message was light on details. No explanations, as usual. Clyde. He was a blustery old cuss. Carried on about violent revolution and seizing the means of production. Figured I should let you know, seeing as we're on Scylla and all. Clyde's got a base on the other side of this rock. I appreciate this, boss. I know you're going out of your way for me. What's on your mind? Yeah, sure thing. Ask away. I've been thinking about that. Scylla's about as far away from civilization as I can imagine. Cold, barren rocks and the occasional mining operation. Clyde wasn't exactly a prospector. I guess we'll find out when we get there. Clyde was my first friend, but he was also my mentor. Taught me how to think, how to question, how to disobey. I figured the board got him in the end. Some guys with black uniforms snatching him off the street in the middle of the night or something. Yeah, I was just a lonely orphan kid getting my knuckles dirty. Clyde? I want to say he saw some potential in me. Like as not, he just took pity on me. So he took me in. Gave me a place to live. Gave me something to believe in. Clyde wasn't an idiot. He kept his head down, worked hard. Did as he was told. You're not going to catch him standing on a soapbox decrying the tyranny of the board. But when the Mardettes had their backs turned, oh yeah, he carried on about starting a revolution. Said he was going to do something big.
Hey you, looking for something? Where do you think you're going? Hey, nice form. Good delivery, too. You looking to join Captain Harlow's crew, huh? All right, go on through.
Nothing to do but stand around and watch the stars go by.
Well, hey there, Hullhead. Clawed your way out of the groundbreaker at long last?
Uh-huh. Oh, Sorry, were you expecting me to say something? Maybe a long time no see or a you've aged, old man?
Your captain has a sense of humor, Felix. Good. There's a time and place for humor. So, you took Felix under your wing. Kept him busy. Good. Kid always needed a place to belong.
I don't know what you're trying to say, but he's earned his keep with us.
Hear that, Clyde? I've been making something out of myself.
So long as you haven't been making a fool of yourself. I'm sure Felix has no end of stories to tell of your exploits together. I look forward to catching up with the boy. I imagine he has. I was a mentor to the boy during his formative years. You might say I have an elder brotherly interest in his development.
Oh, it would have been nice to know that sometime in the last, hang on, doing some math. Half a decade?
I'm working on something. Something big. Something the likes of which Halcyon has never seen. And I want Felix to be a part of my initiative. I'm fulfilling a promise I made to the boy, that one day he and I would change the colony together. That day has finally arrived.
Easy there, Clyde. No one said nothing about throwing in with you. In case you didn't notice, I'm pretty happy where I am.
I'm not asking you to walk away from your captain, Felix, but neither should you allow yourself to be controlled by fear. Change is not to be feared. I brought you here because I want to know where Felix's loyalties lie. When the day of our revolution comes, I want to know that I can rely on him. Everyone in my crew proves their loyalty. No exceptions. Not even Felix. I want you to deal with a traitor for me. Name's Trask. Kill him, and bring me proof of his death. His ring should do nicely. Ratted us out to the board. He's been an informant. Has been for years. When he realized I was onto him, he and his little cadre mutinied. Killed 5 of my own and tucked tail. I don't know where he's hiding, but his wife might. Rosanna. Lives on the Groundbreaker last I checked. Rosanna knows my crew by name and face, but you're a stranger to her. She'll talk to you.
You think so? Maybe we should have a word with Trask. Get his side of the story first.
You'd be wasting your breath bandying words with that traitor. But if it makes you feel better, by all means. Remember, I want proof. Bring me his ring. I don't care if the hand's still attached. Here, my token. Think of this as my personal signature. Anyone who knows me by my works will know me by this token. Well enough. It's been a few years, but I still remember a thing or two. You had a chip on your shoulder. You'd argue over anything, and you'd never back down.
What do you mean, had? And for the record, you never could admit when you lost an argument.
You see what I had to deal with? Let's hear it. I was working on this plan for years, saving every bit I could, drawing plans, biding my time. I never intended to spend my life laboring on the Groundbreaker. When the opportunity presented itself, I did what I had to do. I left.
You might have said something.
I had some ugly business in Scylla. If I told you, I would have implicated you. A revolution is the work of a lifetime, Captain. I've spent my life preparing for the day of Halcyon's reckoning. Everything you see around you is the result of that preparation. A base of operations, loyal soldiers, freedom from the board's oversight. Not all revolutions involve bloodshed and fire, Captain. The purest act of rebellion is to live according to one's own means, independent of any masters. One day, When the board is weak and Halcyon vulnerable, we may claim a piece of this system for ourselves. Until then, we bide our time. Hardly. The board is rotting from the inside. Tomorrow, next year, a generation from now, eventually the board will fall to pieces. Entropy is the natural state of the universe, Captain. All systems inevitably dissolve. When that day comes to Halcyon, we will be ready. The skies around Scylla are curiously absent of patrol ships. It's almost as if the board's sphere of influence is shrinking. Besides, our facility is well armed and located on defensible terrain. If the board tries to lay siege to us, we'll make them pay.
That Harlow reminds me of my old dentist, and not in a good way.
Clyde's got a crew of his own, huh? Good for him. Did you want to ask me something? I know. Clyde comes off rougher than Mantisaur hide. He's a good guy, though. Just gotta get to know him. You think he's using me? He wouldn't. Would he? That he's probably using me. Yeah, you're right. I guess he thinks I'm still just some wide-eyed tenderfoot looking for a scrap. Maybe we should go have a word with Trask. Get to the bottom of all this.
You mind trying to have a moment here? Yeah, I was called that once upon a day. You need something? Rufus and I are no longer on speaking terms. I don't know where he is, and if I did, I wouldn't tell you. That's Harlow's mark, no mistake. Guess he's not letting this one go. I don't want any manner of harm befalling Rufus. Not on my account.
We're not? Oh, right, yeah. We're non-violent sorts. Real diplomatic.
All right, you made your point. Rufus is hiding out in Emerald Vale. Got a few friends with him. That's as much as I know. Please, just make it quick. That's right. Our marriage contract expired some months ago. And seeing how he's technically an outlaw, I wouldn't renew even if I wanted to. Precious little. He and Rufus worked together on the Groundbreaker some years back before he vanished. A few years later, Rufus gets a message from an old friend. Something about starting a revolution, something about getting rich. Abandoned his work and ran off that very day.
So Clyde sent Trask the same message he sent me. What's the problem?
Word of advice, kid? Anybody carrying on about a revolution just wants to sell you something. I don't know Harlow. Never so much as bandied a word with the fellow. You're better off having this discussion with Rufus. Only that Rufus is in a bad way. He came to see me a little ways back. Said he had to go into hiding. Never asked why. He was here to collect his personals, complain about Harlow to me, and say goodbye. In that order. No, and he was particular about that. Said I was better off not getting entangled in his mess. Little late for that, says I. Appreciate it. No offense meant. Just been a long day is all.
Something about this Harlow guy isn't on the up and up.
You want to expand on that?
Come on, Felix. He's obviously up to something. Felix would trust the Sentry Automech if you painted an anti-corporate slogan on it.
Come on, Ellie. Give me at least a little credit.
Felix, I've worked on noses that were more complex than you. Don't feel bad. It's kind of cute sometimes. Now, quiet down and let the adults talk, okay? The way Harlow was leaning on his revolutionary bona fides, not to mention his knowing Felix back in the day, something about it feels off.
Clyde's a decent fellow. I mean, it's not like I'd take up with some double-dealing crook, right?
I'm not suggesting otherwise, especially if Harlow's paying. I'm just saying we ought to keep our eyes open.
Don't bother me.
Got my sights on you.
I don't know who you are or why you're prowling around here, but I'm willing to make a guess. You're one of Harlow's gun hands, ain't you? He sent you after me. Yeah, of course he did. Thing is, you and I are at an impasse. Harlow wants me dead, and I've got no intention of dying. How do I know that I can trust you? You've got good instincts then. You were right not to trust Harlow. I never betrayed Harlow. Harlow betrayed all of us. The board's got him in their pocket, been paying him off for years. All that palaver about revolutions? It's a lie.
You can't be serious. I've known the guy for years.
Yeah, that's about how I reacted when I found out. That's the whole truth. Harlow's just another board asset. A two-bit mercenary wearing a dissident's clothes. Yeah, I've got proof. There's always a paper trail when the board's involved. I chanced upon some correspondence between Harlow and his employer. I don't know that it makes a difference. What was I to do with that evidence? Bring it in front of the board? There's no authority in Halcyon willing to take Harlow to task. Huh. You ain't like other board agents I heard about. You got a functioning spine. You want to confront Harlow yourself? Be my guest. I hid my papers before Harlow chased me out. Back in the middle of the base, there's an old vent in a utility corridor. I stashed my evidence in that vent. Because he's for sale. Anything the board can buy, the board will buy, and that includes loyalty. Harlow was a charismatic bastard, and he was ruthless. With Harlow in their pocket, the board had an informant, a pirate, a smuggler, and a gang leader all rolled up into one odious excuse for a human being. Sounds like a deal to me. Board-sanctioned piracy. Harlow went after the ships the board wanted destroyed, capturing anybody the board wanted captured. If we captured you, we'd ransom you. Harlow liked to do the job himself. Gather up the captives on his own ship, vanish for a couple of days. Only that's not what happened. Harlow's been selling his captives off to the board. I don't know where they ended up. Re-education, Tartarus, maybe worse. You gonna tell Harlow I'm dead? May as well. I'm never going back to that life again. Here, take the ring. And for what it's worth, my gratitude.
Clyde Harlow, agent of the board. Yeah, that sounds even more insane out loud than it did in my head. I'm not sure what to think right now. You told me to be suspicious, but I never imagined Clyde would stoop to informing for the establishment. Then again, Trask knew he was a dead man. Could have been trying to shift the blame. I can't imagine Clyde working for the board. But we owe it to ourselves to find out. Trask said he stashed the evidence in a vent back at the base. We should go take a look.
That machine stole my bits. Why do we even have one of these?
We need to have a word with Clyde. Looks like Trask was telling the truth. It's all there. Receipts for services rendered, payments, records, ship manifests. Clyde was a pirate for hire, and the board was paying him off. In typical board fashion, they left a trail of receipts behind. Ain't that just ironic? Yeah, you and me both. Clyde owes us some answers. Something about this don't add up. And I mean to find out why.
What's the word? So it is. Thus ends Rufus Trask. Once a sensible man, by and by a fool, presently a corpse.
Hope his gas bag's paying us by the hour.
I hope you never have to discover what it is like, Captain. The relief one feels when a mutiny comes to an end.
Trask had some things to say about you. And I've got my own misgivings.
That's a damning accusation. Am I right to presume you have some evidence on hand? Those papers don't prove a thing. We've all done business with the board. They own the whole damn colony. Trask put you up to this. That miserable wretch. He's trying to undermine everything I stand for. You've got a lot of nerve calling me a liar to my face. How should I know? What the hell do I care? Trask was a traitor. I didn't ask you to understand his motives. I asked you to cross him off.
Clyde, look me in the eye and tell me it's not true. Tell me, and I'll believe you.
Don't talk to me like I'm some common criminal, Felix. You're the one on trial, not me. I don't know what kind of poison that snake dripped in your ear, but as far as I'm concerned, you've been compromised.
They're on it!
This is definitely not how I imagined it'd end. The void's black, water's wet, and Clyde hated the board. That's something I just knew. Now? I don't know. I don't know what to think. No. I guess you really don't. I've just got a lot on my mind right now. This is a lot to take in. I always looked up to Clyde. The thought that he could be an agent of the board is just abhorrent to me. I just hope I never turn out like that. Selling my soul for a fistful of bits. Thanks for the vote of confidence, boss. You've given me a lot to think about. I'm gonna be mulling over this whole mess for a couple of days. I don't know what I believe anymore. Maybe it's better that way. Thanks for your time, boss.
Something on your mind? What did I tell you? His down with the man shtick was just an act. No one who yammers that much means half of it. Just as long as you expect it from everyone, you'll always see it coming. Hard for them to get a knife in your back that way. People look out for their own interests. See, this is what I like about you. You may not be from here, but you fit right in. You're not helping the scientists because you think that crackpot will save the colony. You're right. The point is that self-interest is like self-pleasure. No one wants to admit it, but everyone has a hand in it. Enough about Harlow, though. Anything else?